In today's video, we'll be doing a listener write-in from Carla. Before we dive into the letter, please like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. We are so close to 1,000 subscribers, woohoo! Almost to those 4 digits. So please help us get there, woo! Excited fingers. If you would like to do a listener write-in of your own, there's a link in the description below and it will send you to a Google form where you can anonymously write in regarding productivity, creativity, wellness, whatever your heart desires. Thank you, Carla, for writing in. I understand, it takes a lot of vulnerability to express yourself to a stranger, so I appreciate you doing that with me. I do want to make a note to you that I revised your letter just a little for clarity's sake, but I believe the heart of what you wrote is still retained. Dear healthy writer, I have been a maladaptive daydreamer throughout my life. The majority of my daydreams are being a cooler or better version of myself. And secondly, showing people that I'm this cool version of myself. A lot of it is showing others. Somehow I think like they will think better of me, or I don't know, approve of me if I'm this cooler version. What could be the reason and the solution for this? Hi Carla, thanks again for writing in. So I think what you're describing is a very common and human response to feeling insecure. Humans are social creatures. We just are. We rely upon each other for survival. From the moment we're born, we're these tiny, vulnerable creatures. We need other humans to survive. If a baby doesn't have a parent or caretaker, that baby will die. They need someone to feed them, to change them, keep them clean. They need that physical touch for emotional regulation. Literally, without other humans, we die. So I think a large part of wanting to be socially accepted is actually a survival mechanism. Our bodies and our brains and our emotional spheres are intelligent. They want us to survive. At every level, every core of all of us, we have that instinct. Survive, survive, survive. That's not to say we don't do harmful things to ourselves, but at the base of our needs is survival. When you describe a cooler version or better version of yourself, I think it's very possible that you may be craving social preservation. As adults, we still need other people. To be healthy, we still need physical touch. We need to have conversations in person. We need eye contact, emotional connection to feel like we're heard. Our survival requires these things as well. We're not babies, but we still have those instinctual needs. If you look at research around inmates who experience isolation chambers while imprisoned, their mental health severely decreases. It's really, really awful for humans to be alone. Isolation is a huge issue, and it's not only an issue, obviously, for prison inmates, it's an issue for everyday free people as well. So without these social connections, humans suffer detrimental health effects like loneliness and despair, etc. People who are lonelier or isolated also have worse health outcomes. So when you write in saying you're imagining yourself as this cooler or better version of yourself, I hope you can recognize that's likely tied to the survival instinct. Because there's social currency that seems to make us more valuable if we're more liked or cooler, a lot of us fall into people-pleasing. People-pleasing is kind of part of that survival mechanism, right? It's a way to be socially accepted even if it's not authentic. So to me it makes perfect sense why you might want to imagine yourself cooler or better, whatever that means to you. Because perhaps if you're this cooler or better version of yourself, That might mean other people will be with you more often. That might mean more joy, more support, more connection, more love, maybe more fun, maybe more feeling valued. We all need to feel like we're loved and we're valued and we're heard. The first approach is to come at this kind of insecurity about the self with a lot of self-love. So there's this kind of spiritual guru, Louise Hay, who wrote a book, Heal Your Life. And within it, she talks about affirmations and the importance of how we speak to ourselves. She has one affirmation that's like, I am lovable because I'm alive, and we are all instantly deserving of love because we're alive. You can definitely check out her meditations. I probably just butchered that last affirmation, but I find her meditations really peaceful and joy-infusing, especially as I do yoga or breath work. I just tend to feel better after I listen to them. One thing you could also do is begin practicing other positive affirmations, ones you pull from the internet or Louise Hay or from your own heart, whatever desires you have or reframes you have. Some examples of other positive affirmations you can use include, I am lovable just as I am, and I connect with people who really love and appreciate me, and everyone is kind and caring. I love being seen for who I am. You can write these affirmations down on a page or in a journal, and I would recommend reading them to yourself or reciting them to yourself in your head or out loud every single morning and every night and during the day if you can. Using positive affirmations, you can replace negative thought scripts. According to the National Science Foundation, around 80% of our thoughts that we think every day are negative, and about 95% of those thoughts are repetitive, which means most of us are recycling all our negative thoughts day after day. But when you replace those thoughts with positive ones, your life will improve slowly but surely. You can also incorporate positive affirmations into meditations. I mentioned Louise Hay before. She actually has meditations on YouTube that you can listen to. She's now dead, but her meditations live on after her. Just search her name on YouTube and you'll find a bunch of them. So if you're having trouble coming up with your own affirmations, it can be helpful to use examples of other people's. When I used to be really anxious, I would listen to people I admired on YouTube or people who helped me feel better about myself. And then I got more accustomed to not having as many negative thoughts. And it does improve life. Another thing you can do is emotional freedom tapping for self-love and self-acceptance. You can also find these videos on YouTube or make them up yourself. Because your daydreaming is about how you want to appear to others, I would say that the solution to these kind of daydreams is kind of a two-faced coin. On one side of the coin is really accepting yourself, loving yourself more, practicing self-love and self-acceptance. The other side of the coin is more about connecting with other humans. None of us are perfect, but if we don't put ourselves out there into the other world, I said the other world, I guess I meant the real world, but I just meant the world. If we don't put ourselves out into the world, we're not going to be loved and cared for and supported, and we're not going to be able to do that or be that for others either. We can't exist in a bubble. I mean, we can, but it's less fun. When I was reading your letter, it actually made me think of a letter I had received from one of my last therapists. Before we ended sessions, I asked him if he would write a letter for me. I knew that after our sessions ended, I would have some tough days, and I didn't want to have any tough days without at least having access to his voice, to his wisdom, and the things I appreciated about him. I wanted to share a few sentences from his letter because I think they're applicable to where you are as well. So this is what he wrote. You need people, and people need you. Your life will flourish based on your relationship to yourself and how you treat you. It may be most enticing to imagine yourself as this really cool girl who's glamorous and has all these friends. But the more interesting version of you is the person you are right now. The more time you allow others to see that real, beautiful, flawed human you are, the more real connections you'll have. Maladaptive daydreaming is a bandage for a lot of people. As humans, we crave very specific things, and a lot of those daydreams are around human connections, social currency, achieving things that aren't quite present currently in their lives. Like any other sort of unhealthy coping mechanism, like excessive alcohol or sugar or TikTok, it feels good for a moment to daydream, but underneath all that daydreaming is a life that's waiting to happen. And life goes faster when you suppress your desires. And I don't want your life to fly by. You wrote in and you wrote your age, you're 21, you have so much of your life to look forward to. So start now, start seeing people. Take real positive action toward loving the person you are and find some joyful activities that you can share with others. This may be joining a sport or playing board games with groups or taking some kind of class. Whatever you do in the social sphere, it may not be perfect. It'll probably be awkward sometimes, at the very least. But you're not the only person who feels this way. It's hard to connect with others after periods of not connecting with others. And I am assuming a little bit in this letter based upon what you wrote about. So for all I know, you have a huge social network and I'm way off mark. I'm gonna wager that that's not the case. Not every person in the world is a maladaptive daydreamer, but I think nearly every person in the world has imagined themselves as a more lovable or cooler version of themselves. The real trick is to see yourself exactly as you are right now and know that that person is completely, wholeheartedly enough and worth being loved, heard, and seen. Thank you again for writing in, Carla. If you make these changes in your life, or if you don't, write back in 6 months. Let me know how things are. Everyone else, please like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. If you'd like to write in, the link is below. Take care, everyone.